AI has officially made it possible to grow a one-person business from zero to over 1 million in record time. Fully self-sustainable without a team. No VAs, no assistants, just you and your laptop.
Wait, back up. $1 million with zero help. Is he selling a business model or a lonely island fantasy? Let me guess. He's also going to tell me I can do it in 2 hours a day while I'm at my day job.
Actually, that's exactly what he said. Successfully on the side, even while working a 9 to 5.
All right, pour me another one. This is going to be a long night.
Hustle Happy Hour!
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Hustle Happy Hour. This is the podcast where two friends sit down, grab a drink, and react to videos from the internet's favorite entrepreneurship gurus.
We're not here to hate, and we're definitely not here to worship. We break down what actually makes sense, what's overhyped, and what might get you into trouble if you follow it blindly.
If you've ever watched a guru and thought, wait, is that really true? You're in the right place.
So pour a drink, pull up a seat, and let's get into today's hustle.
We are starting today with a number that is, frankly, a little offensive to my brain. It's a prediction that sounds like it belongs in a sci-fi novel, not the financial pages, but it comes from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, so we kind of have to take it seriously.
Right, yeah. I'm your expert for today, and I know exactly the prediction you're talking about. It's the one that's been sort of haunting every boardroom in Silicon Valley for the last year.
Yes, the billion-dollar individual. Altman is on record saying, we are rapidly approaching the moment where a single human being, just one person, builds a company worth $1 billion. No employees. No massive headquarters.
No HR department. It's the concept of the unicorn employee, except, they aren't an employee at all. They're a founder, a CEO, and the entire workforce just rolled into one person.
I really need us to just sit with the absurdity of that for a minute, because when I think of $1 billion valuation, I'm thinking of skyscrapers. I'm thinking of thousands of people swiping badges in the lobby every morning. I'm thinking of like layers and layers of middle management just to approve a stapler purchase.
Yeah, the bureaucracy of scale.
Right. So the idea that one person, maybe sitting in their pajamas at home, could generate that much value, it fundamentally breaks my understanding of how business works.
It breaks the traditional laws of economic physics, honestly, because historically, scale was always linear.
What do you mean by linear in this context?
Well, if you wanted to sell 10 times more widgets, you needed 10 times more salespeople. You needed 10 times more customer support agents. You needed 10 times more warehouse space. Revenue was strictly tethered to headcount.
You just couldn't grow one without growing the other.
Exactly. You hit a ceiling where you just run out of hours in the day, or you run out of capital to hire the next batch of humans.
Okay, but what Altman is describing, and what we are seeing the early stages of right now, is the decoupling of output from labor.
Yes. AI acts as a force multiplier. It's not just a fancy tool you use to spell check your emails, it's leverage. It is the equivalent of an architect suddenly having an army of construction robots that work for free.
Right, 2047, without union breaks.
Without sleep, without benefits. A force multiplier is actually a military term.
I was going to ask him about that, yeah.
It refers to a factor that dramatically increases the effectiveness of a group. But in this case, the group is literally just you. The AI gives a solo founder the functional capabilities of a 500-person organization.
Okay, so if the billion-dollar mark is the ultimate destination, we need a map. Because most of you listening probably aren't trying to be the next Sam Altman. You're just trying to figure out how this applies to, paying the mortgage or quitting a job you hate.
Which brings us to our core source for today's deep dive. We are breaking down a specific blueprint by an entrepreneur named Jordan Welch.
And we should clarify who Jordan is, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not an academic theorist writing papers from a university office.
No, not at all. He runs a portfolio of companies doing over $10 million a year in revenue. He is in the trenches actually doing this stuff.
But, and I think this is why I chose this specific material for our deep dive today, he's not talking about his $10 million empire.
Mm-hmm.
He put out a framework titled How to Start a One-Person AI Business.
Right. He effectively runs a simulation.
Exactly. He asked this question. He says, if I lost it all today, the money, the team, the connections, and I had to start completely from scratch with just a laptop and an internet connection, what would I do?
Which is a much more interesting premise than just, hey, here's how I manage my millions. It forces him to look at the current landscape through the eyes of an absolute beginner.
So our mission today is to really stress test this blueprint. We want to tear it apart and see what's real. Welch claims there are only 3 viable business models for a one-person AI-driven operation.
Just 3.
Just 3. We look at the digital product model, the AI commerce model, and the AI software model. But I want to be skeptical here as we go through this. Is this actually doable for you, the listener, or is it just more that internet hustle culture noise?
I think skepticism is really healthy here because the barrier to entry has dropped to near 0. And when the barrier drops, the competition skyrockets. It has never been easier to start a business, but it might actually be harder than ever to win. So we really need to look at the underlying mechanics, not just the flashy promises.
Okay, before we get to the 3 models, we have to define the rules of the game. Welch set some pretty hard constraints for what constitutes a one-person business. And honestly, I found his first rule a little terrifying.
You mean the 0 employees rule?
Yes. Criterion number 1 is 0 employees. No virtual assistants, no freelance graphic designers, no personal assistant answering your emails. Just you and the machine.
It sounds extreme, I know. But from a business architecture standpoint, it's actually entirely about risk management.
How so? Because I always thought, hiring people was the ultimate sign of growth. If I'm doing everything myself, isn't that just buying myself a job with way more stress?
Not if the actual doing is automated. Think about the biggest killer of small businesses historically.
They're running out of money.
Right. But why do they run out of money? Overhead? Burn rate? You hire a staff, you rent a nice office, you buy software licenses for everyone, you pay for insurance. Suddenly you wake up on the 1st of the month and you need to make $50,000 just to break even.
That creates immense pressure.
Exactly. You start making really bad decisions because you need cash right now. You take on nightmare clients, you rush products to market.
Right. You chase bad revenue because you have payroll to meet on Friday, and you can't bounce those checks.
But if you have 0 employees, your overhead is what? A $20 ChatGPT subscription and maybe a $30 Shopify fee?
That's practically nothing.
It completely changes the game from I need to survive this month to I have infinite patience. You cannot go bankrupt if you don't have costs. It allows you to experiment, fail, and pivot without losing your shirt.
So it's really about resilience. Low overhead means you're almost unkillable as a business.
It means you are a cockroach in the best possible sense of the word. You can survive the nuclear winter of a bad economy while the big, massive agencies with huge payrolls just starve.
Okay, I can buy that. That makes sense. Criteria number 2 is that the business has to be self-sustainable, meaning no 16-hour grind days. It has to fit into the cracks of a normal life, like a few hours after work.
Right. It has to be suitable for a student or someone working a standard 9 to 5.
And criteria number 3 is AI dependency.
This is the absolute litmus test for his framework. If the business can run without AI, it's not what we're talking about today. The AI must be doing the heavy lifting, the fulfillment, the creation, the coding. If you, the human, are the bottleneck for output, you failed the model.
All right, let's get into the meat of this. The first model Welch proposes is what I'm calling the knowledge arbitrage. He just calls it digital products.
We've seen digital products for 20 years. Ebooks, PDFs, video courses. It is the oldest play in the internet monetization book.
But he argues the game has fundamentally changed. Historically, there was a massive barrier to selling digital products, which we can call the expertise trap.
Right. In, say, 2015, if you wanted to sell a course on fitness, you had to be a fitness model. If you wanted to sell a cookbook, you had to be a chef. You were selling your personal authority.
You were selling the 10,000 hours you spent mastering a specific craft.
Exactly.
And most of us, let's be honest, we aren't the top 1% expert in anything. We're just regular people. But Welch says AI completely flips this dynamic. He says you no longer need to be the expert. You just need to be the curator.
The shift is from creator to synthesizer. You don't need to know the answer yourself anymore. You just need to identify a valuable problem out in the world and know how to extract the exact answer from the sum of human knowledge, which is currently sitting inside these large language models.
He used a case study that I honestly thought was a joke at first. He called it vintage bag rescue.
It does sound incredibly random, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But stick with the mechanics of what he's doing because they apply to literally any niche.
So Welch goes to ChatGPT. He doesn't just ask for a business idea. He asks for, and I'm quoting the source here, an untapped idea for beginners in a non-saturated market.
That is such a key distinction. He isn't asking for a good idea. He's asking the AI to perform market analysis. And the AI comes back and says, you should restore vintage luxury bags.
And the logic the AI provided was surprisingly sound. You have these beat-up Louis Vuitton or Gucci bags on eBay. They're selling for absolute peanuts because they look trashy and stained.
Yeah.
If you can restore them, you can flip them for huge profit margins. But, and here's the core problem, people are terrified to do it.
It's incredibly high stakes. If you use the wrong chemical cleaner on a $500 vintage leather bag, you've completely destroyed it. The pain point for the consumer is fear. The solution they are willing to pay for is confidence.
So the product becomes a guide, a PDF, something like how to restore vintage leather without ruining it. But here's my fundamental issue with this. Jordan Welch does not know how to restore leather.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know how to restore leather. If I
Okay.
sat down and wrote a book on it, it would be a scam. It would be terrible advice.
In the pre-AI world, yes, it would absolutely be a scam. But this brings us to the most technical and frankly fascinating part of his workflow. The prompt for a prompt strategy.
This was the part that made my head spin a little bit when I was reading the source. Walk me through this. Because why wouldn't you just tell the AI, hey, write me a guide on leather restoration?
Because if you give a generic prompt to an AI, you get a generic answer back. You'll get a Wikipedia-level summary that just says, clean the leather gently with a soft cloth.
Right, and that's not a product. That's a free Google search. Nobody's paying $20 for that.
Exactly. It's totally worthless. So Welch uses a meta strategy. He asks the AI, I want to create a world-class guide on vintage bag restoration. What prompts should I give you to make you act as the ultimate expert and generate the highest quality content possible?
He's literally asking the AI to write its own operating instructions.
Precisely. Large language models like GPT-4 or Claude, they understand their own internal architecture way better than we do. They know what persona they need to adopt, what constraints they need to follow, and what context is required to output high-level, nuanced advice.
That is so
Right. So the AI might come back to you and say, tell me to act as a master leather artisan with 40 years of experience in traditional Italian tanneries, focusing specifically on chemical pH balance and historical stitching techniques.
That is wild. So you take that super complex prompt the AI just handed you, you feed it right back into the chat box, and suddenly the output isn't clean it gently, it's use a horsehair brush and this specific chemical composition of conditioner and avoid this type of wax.
Correct. You are arbitrating the gap between the user's problem and the AI's latent knowledge. You aren't the expert yourself. You are the prompt engineer extracting the expertise.
And then he mentions using tools to actually put the book together. He mentions a tool called aomathic.ai, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, to actually format the text. So you aren't even messing around dragging text boxes in Word or Canva.
The tool automates the layout, it generates the images, it builds the structure. So literally within an hour, you have a professional-grade, beautifully designed PDF that solves a specific, expensive problem.
But having a beautiful PDF sitting on your desktop isn't a business. It's just a file on your hard drive. You actually have to sell the thing.
Distribution.
Yes.
This is usually where the whole one-person business dream goes to die.
Right, because marketing is hard. Welch brings up the story of a creator known as the Excel Girl. Apparently, she is making $3 million a year selling digital guides on Microsoft Excel.
Which perfectly proves the point that boring is wildly profitable. Everyone in corporate America uses Excel, and almost everyone secretly hates Excel because they don't know how to do pivot tables.
Her strategy, and the distribution strategy Welch highly recommends for this model, relies on what I think is a brilliant piece of psychological engineering, DM automation.
Yes. It has become the absolute gold standard for modern digital creators. You post a short video, a reel, or a TikTok. It's really short, maybe 15 seconds long. You show a common problem like, my boss wants this chart formatted by 5 p.m., and then you show a lightning-fast solution. Here is a keyboard shortcut that does it in 2 seconds.
And then the call to action at the end of the video isn't the traditional click the link in my bio. It's comment the word money and I will send you the complete guide.
This comment to DM funnel is vastly superior to the old way for 2 very specific technical reasons. First, you have the algorithmic advantage.
Because comments count as engagement, right?
Not just regular engagement, but high-value engagement. If 1,000 people comment on your short video within an hour, the platform's algorithm flags that piece of content as incredibly sticky. It assumes people love it, so it automatically pushes it out to 10,000 more people. It creates this viral loop that a static link in your bio can never achieve.
Okay, and what is the second reason?
The micro-commitment. When a user actually types a word into the comment section, they have physically acted. They have raised their hand in a crowded room. Psychologically, they are now invested and waiting for your response. When that direct message hits their inbox, which is triggered instantly by an automation tool like ManyChat, the open rate is near 100%.
Versus a traditional email newsletter where you're thrilled if you get a 20% open rate.
Exactly. It feels like a one-on-one personal conversation. You have started a direct relationship with that buyer.
So model one is basically find a high-stakes niche problem, use the prompt for a prompt technique to generate an expert-level solution, and then use DM automation on social media to distribute it. It sounds very doable,
Yeah.
but it also sounds like you have to be on the content treadmill constantly.
That is the big catch with digital products. You are trading the old expertise trap for the new content trap. If you stop posting reels every single day, the traffic stops and the sales start. It's a very high-margin business, but it requires high active effort on the marketing side.
Which perfectly brings us to model two. This is the model Welch actually claims is best for the absolute beginner,
Right.
especially someone who maybe isn't comfortable dancing or pointing at text on camera. He calls it AI commerce. But the core strategy here is something he calls the burner method.
This was easily my favorite part of the entire framework because it actively exploits how modern advertising algorithms actually work behind the scenes.
Yeah, let's unpack this slowly. Usually when people talk about doing market research for an e-commerce store, they mean looking at Google Trends or running surveys. This method felt more like, I don't know, corporate espionage.
It really is. It's reverse engineering the billions of dollars of data that Facebook and TikTok are already collecting on consumers.
So the burner method, let's walk through it. You create a completely fresh Instagram or Facebook account.
Yeah.
This is your burner account. You don't follow your friends. You don't follow your family. You don't follow any celebrities.
Right. You are building a purely synthetic persona from scratch. You want to deliberately train this new account to look like the ultimate impulse buyer.
So you just start scrolling.
Yeah.
And every single time you see an ad, any ad for a physical product, you stop. You watch the entire video all the way through. You like the video. You click the Shop Now button. You go to their website and you add the item to your shopping cart.
You're basically screaming at the algorithm, I am a high-value target who loves to spend money online.
What is actually happening in the platform's back-end code when you do all that?
This is so important for people to understand. Ad platforms run on a highly competitive auction system. Advertisers are constantly bidding money to show their ads to specific types of people. The most expensive people to reach, the ones that cost the most to show an ad to, are the proven buyers. By clicking Shop Now and firing that initiate checkout tracking pixel on all these Shopify sites, you are actively categorizing your burner account into the top 1% of most valuable users.
You are painting a massive glowing target on your own back.
Exactly. And because ad space targeting those buyers is incredibly expensive, the algorithm is only going to show you ads from advertisers who are bidding really high and who has the cash flow to bid high.
People who are actually making money selling their products.
Bingo. Nobody spends $1,000 a day on ads for a product that doesn't convert. It would bankrupt them. So within just a few hours of doing this, your burner feed completely filters out all the garbage. It filters out the low-budget tests and the failing products. It shows you exclusively winning products that are currently scaling and highly profitable.
It's like you're letting the algorithm do all the heavy lifting of curation for you. You don't ever have to guess what's trending. Your feed literally becomes the definitive trend report.
You are leveraging the millions of dollars in ad spend that other companies are paying out of their own pockets to figure out what works. You just sit back, watch the feed, and observe. You say, okay, I've seen the specific posture corrector ad 4 times today from different brands. That means this product is currently printing money.
So in his case study, Welch uses this exact method and he finds a product. Winter boots. Specifically waterproof, non-slip, fur-lined winter boots.
It's a classic seasonal problem solver product. It is definitely not sexy, but it addresses a very real, very urgent pain point. Cold, wet feet, and the deep fear of slipping on black ice and hurting yourself.
Now, here is where the AI part really comes into play. Because in the old days of drop shipping, you'd just find those boots on a supplier site, throw them on a basic Shopify store, and pray somebody buys them. But Welch talks about using AI as bowling bumpers.
I loved this analogy so much. He says AI doesn't guarantee you roll a strike. It won't guarantee you become a millionaire overnight. But it absolutely prevents the gutter ball. It prevents the stupid, basic rookie mistakes that drain your bank account.
He uses what he calls a validator prompt. He takes all the information about these winter boots, feeds it into ChatGPT, and asks for a ruthless, unbiased critique of the business idea.
He specifically asks for a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. He asks the AI to analyze market saturation and pricing elasticity. And the AI actually came back to him with a warning. It said high competition, moderate potential.
Which is incredibly helpful. It stops you from blindly throwing money at Facebook ads. But when he dug deeper into that competition the AI warned him about, he found something that honestly gave me the creeps.
You're talking about the dead internet reality of modern e-commerce.
Yes. He looked at the actual competitors selling these winter boots, the product descriptions on their websites, written entirely by AI, the ad copy on their videos, written by AI. But the photos of people happily walking in the snow wearing the boots.
They were mid-journey image generations. They weren't real humans. They were totally synthetic AI models wearing the boots.
And these competitor stores were running over 110 different ad variations at the exact same time.
To a normal person, seeing 110 ads implies a massive corporate operation with a huge marketing team. But the reality today is that it's likely just one guy sitting in his bedroom. He's got an AI agent automatically generating 100 variations of an image and testing them all simultaneously to see which single one gets the highest click-through rate.
So the marketplace has literally become bot versus bot.
That is the harsh reality of AI commerce. If you enter this arena, you aren't competing against a local boutique shoe store down the street. You are competing against algorithmic arbitrageurs. The human element in this business model has been reduced entirely to high-level strategy. The actual execution, the writing, the graphic design, the split testing, it's all synthetic.
So if you want to win, or even just survive, you have to use the AI tools. You can't sit there handwriting your product descriptions for 3 hours anymore. You're just too slow.
Speed is your only competitive advantage. You need to be able to launch the storefront, generate the sales copy, render the product images, and start testing the ads all within 24 hours. If the market responds and it works, great, you scale it. If it doesn't work, you kill it instantly and go find the next product on your burner feed.
It sounds incredibly ruthless.
It is hyper-efficient. It is pure commerce, completely stripped of human emotion or attachment to the product.
Okay, so we've covered the first two paths. We have digital products, which is selling packaged knowledge, and we have AI commerce, which is selling physical goods systematically. Now we finally arrive at the third model, the one Welch explicitly calls the golden ticket. And this is the one that actually makes Sam Altman's billion-dollar prediction seem totally plausible: AI software.
This is the heavyweight division. If the other two models are primarily about generating monthly cash flow, paying your rent, buying a nice car, this model is about generating wealth. Wealth with a capital W, generation-changing wealth.
Why is that? Explain the economics of this. Why is a software company inherently so much more valuable than a successful store selling winter boots? If I make $100,000 in pure profit selling boots, isn't that exactly the same as $100,000 in profit selling a software app?
To the IRS, when you pay your taxes, yes, it's exactly the same. But to an investor who wants to buy your company, absolutely not. It all comes down to a financial concept called exit multiples.
I really want you to break this down for the listener, because this is where the math gets absolutely crazy.
Okay, let's look at the two scenarios. Let's say you have your winter boot store. You make $100,000 in net profit this year. E-commerce businesses are considered very risky by investors. Fashion trends change rapidly. Physical inventory spoils or gets stuck on a cargo ship. Supply chains break. So a private equity investor might only pay you 2 times or maybe 3 times your annual profit to buy the whole business from you.
So you sell the business for maybe $300,000, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but you aren't buying a private island with that.
Right. You buy a nice house down payment and you pay off your student loans. Now, contrast that with SaaS, software as a service. If you have a software company making that exact same $100,000 in profit, that revenue is usually recurring. It's a monthly subscription.
People are paying $20 a month forever.
Exactly. And it is incredibly sticky. Customers don't cancel software easily because the software holds all their operational data. Moving to a competitor is a huge headache. Investors absolutely love that stickiness and predictability.
So what is the multiple they pay for that?
In the AI software space right now, depending on the growth rate, it can range anywhere from 25 times to 50 times your annual profit.
Hold on, let me do that math. So that exact same $100,000 in profit
Could be worth $2.5 million to $5 million in an acquisition sale. You are building a digital asset that appreciates wildly in value. That underlying math is the only way you get to a $1 billion valuation as a solo individual. You need the operational leverage of the software doing the work and the financial leverage of the valuation multiple when you sell.
That is literally the difference between earning a good salary and winning the lottery. But, and this is a massive, but for me and probably a lot of people listening, I cannot code. I don't know Python from a literal Python snake. I look at code and my eyes glaze over. I assume this entire model is just completely off limits for me.
5 years ago, yes, I would have told you to go enroll in a coding boot camp for 2 years before even trying. But this is where the true democratization of coding comes into play.
Welch tells this incredible story in the source about a guy named Banu.
Banu is really the poster child for this new era. He's just a regular guy working out of a bedroom setup with a near zero starting budget. He had an idea for a customer service chatbot called SiteGPT.
Explain what that actually does.
It's conceptually very simple. You know those little chat bubbles in the bottom corner of websites you visit?
Yeah, the ones that are usually incredibly frustrating and dumb.
Right, they just give you generic menu options. Banu essentially built a software wrapper around the GPT-4 API. A business owner can just upload their entire website's data, their FAQ pages, their dense technical manuals directly into Banu software, and then his chatbot can answer any customer question highly intelligently based entirely on that specific company's data.
And he built this entire software platform himself.
He built it using AI to write the code for him. He didn't handwrite the complex logic. And the crazy part is, within just 1 month of launching it, he hit $15,000 in monthly recurring revenue, MRR.
$15,000 a month. That's $180,000 a year run rate, practically overnight.
Now apply the multiple we just talked about. Even at a very conservative 10 times multiple, he built a $1.8 million digital asset in a few weeks from his bedroom.
Okay, but I need to push back on the AI wrote the code part of this story, because I've personally used ChatGPT. I've asked it to write simple code snippets for a spreadsheet. It usually gives me something that immediately breaks. It's not just a magic button you press that spits out $1 million app.
You are absolutely right to push back on that, and this is where we really need to get real about the mechanics. It is not as simple as saying, computer, build me the next Facebook. The actual workflow is highly iterative.
What does that workflow actually look like then? If I am Banu and I'm sitting there staring at a blank computer screen, what am I actually typing?
You have to act as a senior project manager, managing a brilliantly smart but easily confused junior developer who works at the speed of light. You say to the AI, write a Python script to scrape the text from this specific URL. The AI writes it instantly. You take that code, run it, and it inevitably throws an error.
Right, your terminal just spits out a wall of red text saying syntax error on line 40.
Exactly. Now, a non-coder in the past would just give up right there. They hit a wall. But the new AI entrepreneur simply copies that entire red error message, pastes it right back into the chat window, and says, I ran your code and I got this error. Fix it.
And the AI knows what it did wrong.
Usually, yes. It says, oh, my apologies. I forgot to import the request library. Here is the updated script. And then it works.
So it's literally a conversation. You are basically debating the software code into existence.
That's exactly what it is. And the tooling is getting even better. Now we have specialized coding environments like Cursor or Replit, which integrate the AI directly into the code editor itself. You don't even have to copy and paste anymore. You just highlight a block of code and type, make this database load faster, or add a Google login button right here, and the AI just manipulates the code structure directly.
So the fundamental skill isn't knowing the exact syntax of JavaScript. The real skill is knowing the logical flow. You need to know what you want the app to do step by step and how to instruct the machine to build those steps.
Correct. Logic is the new programming language. English is the new programming language. If you can think clearly and systemically, you can build complex software now.
But the downside risk here has to be way higher, right? If my digital product PDF has a typo in it, I just look a little stupid. If my software application has a critical bug, I could lose hundreds of clients' private data.
Oh, the complexity is exponentially higher. You have to maintain cloud servers. You have to deal with API endpoints suddenly breaking. You have to handle furious customer support tickets when the site crashes at 3 in the morning. It is absolutely the golden ticket, but it is unequivocally the hardest and most stressful path of the 3.
Okay, so we have deeply explored the 3 paths. We've got the knowledge arbitrage with digital products. We've got the burner method for AI commerce. And we've got the golden ticket with AI software. Jordan Welch tries to rank these models for different types of people depending on their goals. I want to go through his rankings and see if you actually agree with his assessment.
Yeah, let's hear how he breaks it down.
He says for the absolute beginner, someone who has never made $1 online before, they should start with AI commerce, using the burner method.
I completely agree with that recommendation. Running a simple e-commerce store teaches you the absolute fundamental mechanics of business. You learn about buying wholesale, selling retail, profit margins, and paid marketing, and you learn all of it without ever having to be a public figure or an influencer. Plus, the feedback loop is incredibly fast. You run an ad today, and by tomorrow you know exactly if it's sold or not. It's totally binary.
Then he says for the side hustler, meaning someone who already has a full-time job and just wants extra cash flow without taking on huge risk, they should go with digital products.
Also a very smart allocation of effort. The margins on digital products are literally 100%. Once you spend the weekend making that PDF guide, you can sell it 1,000,000 times without incurring a single cent of extra production cost. But the trade-off is you have to be willing to act as a creator. You have to consistently feed the social media algorithms with new videos to drive that traffic.
And finally, for the empire builder. The person chasing that Sam Altman billion-dollar dream, it has to be AI software.
It's the only vehicle with enough financial horsepower. You simply cannot sell enough $20 vintage bag restoration guides to realistically make $1 billion. You need the infinite scale of software and the leverage of those massive valuation multiples we talked about.
Now, I have to take a step back and address the elephant in the room regarding our source material. Throughout this entire blueprint, Jordan Welch frequently mentions his paid masterclass. He mentions his exclusive paid community. At the end of the day, he is selling a course on how to do all this.
Ah, yes, the classic selling shovels business model.
Exactly. During the California gold rush, the guys who reliably got rich weren't the ones digging in the dirt. It was the merchants selling the picks and shovels to the miners. Is this entire one-person business framework just an elaborate marketing funnel to get $500 out of my pocket for his course?
It is a totally valid cynicism, and you should always have your guard up. Whenever someone on the internet says, "I have the secret to making you rich," you should grip your wallet tightly. But here is how I analyze these types of sources. You have to separate the messenger's motive from the actual message.
Expand on that a bit. How do you separate them?
His motive is obviously to sell course access. Sure, we acknowledge that. But is the underlying message structurally valid? Is the burner method a real functioning thing? Yes, it absolutely is. It exploits a publicly known mechanism of how ad auction algorithms operate. Is the prompt for a prompt strategy effective? Yes, highly paid prompt engineers at top tech firms use that exact meta strategy every day.
So the actionable advice genuinely holds up to scrutiny, even if the wrapper it comes in is promotional marketing.
Exactly. The strategies he outlines are verifiable, functional mechanics of the current internet economy. Whether you decide to pay him for access to his private community is entirely up to you, but the blueprint itself is not snake oil. It is an accurate map of the digital territory as it exists right now.
He also makes this grand claim that this is the golden era. He says it is objectively easier to start a business today than at any prior point in the last 10 years. Do you actually buy that framing?
I do, but with a really major caveat that people often miss. It is definitely easier to start, but it is vastly harder to stand out.
Because everyone else has access to the exact same AI tools.
Precisely.
Yeah.
When everyone has access to a force multiplier, nobody has a unique operational advantage anymore. If I can use AI to spin up a fully functioning vintage bag restoration store in 24 hours, so can you. And so can 10,000 other highly motivated people around the world.
So the market just drowns in a sea of automated noise.
We are rapidly entering a global crisis of curation. The winner in tomorrow's economy isn't the person who can build the fastest app, because anyone can build the app now. The winner is the person who can build the most trust, the person who can build a brand that resonates, the person who can actually make the customer feel understood.
Which, ironically, is the one thing AI fundamentally cannot really do. It can mathematically mimic human emotion in text, but it cannot organically build a real reputation.
Exactly. The human moat is basically the only defensive moat left in business. Your taste, your curation, your authentic connection with the audience.
This brings me to a final, really provocative thought, something I've been mulling over the entire time I was reading this source material. If the AI is validating the business idea, and then the AI is writing the product and writing the ad copy and generating the images and even handling the customer service emails, At what point do we, the humans, become entirely obsolete in this loop?
Ah, the human obsolescence question. It's the philosophical endpoint of all this.
Yeah. Are we actually building real businesses anymore, or are we just becoming the biological bootloader for the AI? Are we just the CAPTCHAs ensuring the bots don't run completely wild? Are we just providing the initial spark of commander's intent, giving the high-level order, and then completely getting out of the way of the machines?
Sam Altman actually seems to think that is exactly the future we are heading toward. He calls it the fundamental shift from being an operator to being a strategist. You don't physically turn the screws on the assembly line anymore. You just stand back, point at the empty wall, and say, "Computer, put a shelf there."
That sounds incredibly liberating for the person doing the pointing. But it implies a world where the only human skill that actually matters anymore is just desire, just wanting something to exist.
Desire and taste. Knowing exactly what to want. The AI can instantly generate 1,000 different variations of an image, but it doesn't innately know which single one is truly beautiful to the human eye. The AI can write 10 different marketing slogans in a second, but it doesn't know which one will actually make a real human laugh out loud. For now, at least, that remains our job, to be the conductor of the algorithmic orchestra. You don't have to know how to play the instruments anymore, but you still have to decide the tempo and the feeling of the music.
Well, if you are listening to this right now, maybe it's time to finally pick up the baton and see what you can conduct. Or at the very least, you should go create a burner social media account just to see what the algorithm thinks you desperately need to buy.
I highly recommend doing that just as a low-risk experiment. Even if you have absolutely no intention of ever starting a business, try the burner method just to briefly see the matrix. It is genuinely fascinating to watch how quickly the fabric of the internet changes around you when you intentionally change your scrolling behavior.
Just be very careful with your credit card. You might end up owning a whole closet full of fur-lined winter boots.
Or accidentally restoring a bunch of vintage luxury bags you don't even own.
Exactly.
I pulled a few gems from the comments. The supportive one. Jordan always drops gems. The AI validator is a game changer. Finally, a way to test products without losing my shirt.
People love a tool that saves them from stupid mistakes.
The skeptical one. Funny how he shows a $100,000 dashboard and then immediately pivots to book a free call with my team for coaching. If the store is so easy, why do you need my coaching fees?
Ouch. The classic guru catch-22.
The unhinged one. Instruction unclear. AI wrote a book about vintage bags for cats. I'm now $50,000 in debt and my cat won't stop judging me.
That cat probably knows more about leather than ChatGPT does.
Let's bring this back to earth. If you're a beginner with zero capital, Jordan says you can start this on the side. But his simple method for e-commerce involves running ads, which costs money.
And for the 9-to-5 employees, he claims you only need a few hours a day. In reality, finding a viral product using his burner method means scrolling reels like it's your full-time job. That's a lot of free time to spend on your phone.
All right, Bart, is this good advice, situational advice, or pure hustle hype?
I'm going with situational advice. The AI tools and research methods are legit and can definitely help a one-person business scale. But the billion-dollar solo company and zero-effort books lean heavily into hustle hype.
Agreed. Use the AI as your bumpers, like he says, but don't expect it to bowl the strike for you while you're taking a nap. And that's it for today's session at Hustle Happy Hour. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to level up and build something big.
If you want more, check out our other videos where we deconstruct more guru gems and traps. And hey, if there's a video you want us to react to next, drop it in the comments below or send us a link. We're always looking for the next hustle to deconstruct.
Until next time, stay spicy, but keep the hustle real and keep the drinks cold. Cheers.